All right, welcome back to another training session with me. The last week or so has been school holidays, so that means that we haven't had our regular classes on, and the gym has been closing at 5:30, which means that I have not been on classes at that time, and the gym has been empty. So Colin, Ruby, and I have been coming in to train, which has been really good. It's given me a chance to get some solid training sessions in and build back up with some basics. And in that time, I have been working on my shoulders, my shoulder flexibility and my back flexibility for back handsprings, but just in general as well, because I have lost a lot of flexibility over the last few years. I may have mentioned once or twice that I have got a history of shoulder dislocations, and that had, I think that actually happened 10 years ago this week, my most recent one, which is super cool. I never had surgery, so it still has a few areas of instability. So if I put my arms overhead and they go past 180 and there is any kind of force or momentum, this shoulder will dislocate because the joint has been compromised. However, because I can still do almost everything, it's quite an unusual circumstance that would cause that dislocation. My physio many years ago decided that I didn't need surgery, and I think that was the right decision. So now I just don't do toe shoot fronts, which used to be my dismount, or hiccups, which is where you do a toe shoot from the low bar to catch the high bar. So anyways, history of shoulder injury, which limits my strength and stability when my arms are overhead. So because of that, over the years, I have been very cautious in that position, and I haven't really tried to regain any of the flexibility that I used to have there. I used to have a significant and a really good bridge. So I'll see if I'm clever enough to insert some pictures of what my shoulder and back flexibility used to be like. It's probably part of the reason why I had the dislocation in the first place, because I had too much flexibility and not enough strength and stability in that position. But I do think that I have been negligent with my shoulder, my overhead shoulder mobility, flexibility, and strength. And I have been pretty negligent with my overall strength in general lately. But we're getting back on the right track. So the last week I've spent doing some overhead mobility drills. Oh my gosh, why are these finger holes so small? Some overhead strengthening drills and some specific stuff for back handsprings. And so that's what this video is going to include. So kick things off with bridge, nice and simple. And then I'll do a few strength exercises, a few flex exercises, I don't see, and then some back handspring specific drills. And I'll also show you what my back handsprings looked like prior to doing these exercises, because I haven't actually done back handsprings for beam in almost a year, because I had a little whoopsie when I was competing it last year, and I think I got really jittery at a comp, and it just made my brain leave my body, and I started doing some wacko things, which ended in me falling several times and getting a little bit of a wrist injury. So since then, I backed off from back handsprings, but wrist is good, and it's time to work on our weaknesses.
This is day 3 of, okay. Good girl. This is day 3 of me doing bridges consistently. And it doesn't feel like my stomach and hip flexors are tearing at all. So it's actually feeling better. I don't know if it's looking any better, but It's feeling better. Here we go. Oh, shoulder's doing something funky. Does not feel as bad. Woohoo!
Okay, next up we've got stick stretch. So elbows and hands shoulder width apart. I'm doing 10 lowers where I'm trying to get my shoulders lower, but not my lower back, and then I hold for about 20 seconds. Shoulder exercise from my shoulder rehab from years ago, but it's just a really, really good one for improving active flexibility. So you can do this without weights. These are just 1 kilo plates. You do your Superman, arms go all the way down to your sides, and then we're going up and overhead. I'm going to do 10, trying to get arms to cover ears at the front. Thinking tight legs, long body, glutes and hammies, lifting the legs up, and eyes stay looking at the floor. I think that's 8. Oh, they're really hard. Very humbling. Colin then filmed me for some single leg deadlifts with quite a heavy kettlebell. These are really good for hamstring strength and flexibility. Then I'm doing a handstand drill for back handspring. So I've got flip hands and split legs. So this is to mimic the position that you land your back handspring in on the beam. I'm really struggling to get my shoulders open in that flip hand position. So that's what I'm focusing on. Ruby likes to come and interrupt at regular intervals when I'm training. That's why I always need to have a ball around so I can distract her. Now she's out of the way. I swapped hands here because I am still deciding if I want right hand in front or left hand in front for my flips. But after a couple of goes, I decided left hand felt a lot better. And you can see that I get more control and more alignment in the last couple of handstands that I do. And then it's hard to tell here, but I'm doing uphill back handsprings. So I'm going from the dead floor up onto the sprung floor. And then I moved it to this progressive box position. So I kept landing my back handsprings with bent arms and my legs. It's hard to tell here, but if you slow it down, you can see that I'm landing with my back leg quite vertical in the first couple of back handsprings. And as I progress, I'm landing in more of a split handstand position. Then I took it to the floor beam. I have the mat on the beam just for softness because I have had a wrist injury doing this in the past. I'm trying to keep impact nice and soft. And my wrist is probably 96% good. Pretty embarrassing. Did a couple and then a little bit of a funny whoopsie at the end there. Now, this training was across a couple of different days. So I felt ready to take these to the beam. I prefer doing them on a higher beam than on the low beam because I feel like it forces you to stay a little bit straighter. But anyways, I was pretty scared after falling in these last year. So it took a while for me to just pluck up the courage to go. And then obviously, because I'd put in so much effort doing it on the line, doing it on the floor, doing it uphill, doing it on the floor beam, it was pretty good when I actually did it on the beam. I want them to be, exceptionally good on the floor so that they feel very easy on the beam. So knowing that I could do them uphill, knowing that they had improved made me feel a lot more confident doing them on the beam. But I do have a lot of matting just because, like I said, I want to protect my wrist. But it felt really good. And so very quickly, I was getting a really good takeoff from the beam that I could actually do a proper straight jump. And so I went straight through into doing back handspring back tucks. I ended up doing back handspring back tucks all in the one day. These felt really good, but it does take a lot at the moment for me to feel physically prepared to do them on the beam. My back handsprings have, because of that lack of overhead mobility, they have regressed a lot, and it takes a lot of drills and prep work to get me feeling flexible enough to do them well. in my mind they're really easy, but yeah, it takes a lot of work to get them working well. But I'm hoping with like obviously time, it won't take as much preparation to be able to do them properly.